Yo, what's going on, guys? SMH Super Mario Hoops back with some more hoops, and today I'm uploading a video about some of the worst contracts that are currently in the NBA. Now, I collabed with my guy Eric from Triple Play Fantasy, and I'll have his video link in the description below. We did this last week, I'd say, and I just now got around to uploading it on my channel. I decided to keep my version a little bit more brief. If you want to see the full thing, which is on the Triple Play Fantasy channel, so you guys are going to want to check that. We talk about several other players on there as well, but these are just kind of the main points I wanted to put in my own video, so yeah, hope you guys enjoy.
We're going to talk about some players who should be thanking their agents and collecting every bit of that money they should, because they might not get a second contract after this. We're going to start out with Kevin Love, who signed a 4-year, $120 million extension back in 2019. Now he has 2 years left, $60 million on that contract. It's going to end after the 22-23 NBA season. He will be 34 years old at that time. What's interesting is he signed that contract like right after LeBron left, when they should have been going through a rebuild with Kyrie, but instead they rewarded him. So Garrett, what do you think was going through the Cavs' mind when they gave that to him?
To be honest, I don't really know what was going through their mind. I know what was going through his mind then, at least from the media's perspective, and that was that he wanted to stay there and that he wanted to like get that money, be the star and stuff like that. But then shortly after, and I remember like discussing this with my dad too, because he thought Kevin Love was, still going to be an all-star and stuff like that. I said no, he's probably just going to rot on a bad team. So far, it's been the latter of the two. Now it seems like he's just kind of unhappy with the Cavaliers. And I know he's still playing for them and stuff like that, but just of the recent reports that have come out, and it just seems like a whole messy situation. But luckily for them, he has, 2 more years left on it, you showed there. So,
and what's kind of crazy is right now he's coming off as a bench player. Like they're starting Evan Mobley, they're starting Jarrett Allen, they have Lauri Markkanen, and they've tried to trade him in the past. Now, I'm a Wizards fan. The Cavaliers are probably the team I dislike the most, going back to the LeBron days when they eliminated us in the first round 3 years in a row. I'm generally a fan of what Kobe Altman has done with the team. I think that this is his one bit bugaboo, though. And Kevin Love, especially with the health that he has, hasn't really lived up to the contract. And it's going to be really tough to trade. I can't imagine a team taking that much remaining, thinking that Kevin Love is the missing piece for them to contend for a title. We're going to go to Kevin Love. For somebody that Kevin Love was almost traded for back in the day, if you guys remember, before the Splash Brothers really took off, there were rumors that Kevin Love would go to the Warriors for Klay Thompson and a centerpiece. Now we look, and he had a 5-year, $190 million extension. He's currently in the third year. Ironically, he hasn't played in the first 2 years of his extension, so he's been making that money without even touching the court. It's going to end after the 23-24 season when he is 33 years old. Now, he's coming off a torn ACL and then a torn Achilles while recovering from that torn ACL. So, Garrett, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, well, first of all, I will address that, if Klay Thompson, if he didn't get hurt, if he was still playing like normal Klay Thompson, this wouldn't be considered a bad contract, because we know this guy most likely will end up in the Hall of Fame one day. So I think that with that being said, I mean, it's only based on his injuries that we don't know what he's going to come back as. If he comes back as a shell of himself and he's making this amount of money, then it looks really bad. But of course, like the Warriors, they weren't just going to let him go. They paid him this in 2019, and they had just made 5 straight finals appearances, 3 championships. You're not going to let the second guy on their core, their really big 3 core of him, Curry, and Draymond, you're not just going to let him go for nothing. So it made sense to bring him back. And obviously they couldn't have predicted that he got injured again, in 2020. So that was kind of unfortunate. But right now it just does seem like one of those contracts that's not so great until we can actually see Klay come back. And if he's playing like the Klay we remember, or even better, then, I mean, this will probably be removed from the worst contracts, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think the thing about the Warriors is, even with the injury, I think you have to pay him. It's, they won 3 rings. Somebody that was pretty durable. He played 66 games his rookie year, but after that, he's played, I think, at least 77 in every season after. 2-way defender. Him and Steph Curry complement each other as the best backcourt. If anything, you have to do it as a PR move. You can't say, hey, look, we're going to let you go. But you're right. It's a bad contract right now just for the fact of the injuries that have caught up. We're going to now go from somebody we don't agree. And of course, we got to have a little drama in here. And we're going to go to Rudy Gobert, who is in the first year of a 5-year, $205 million Supermax extension. It's going to end after the 25-26 season when he's 33 years old, locking him and Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt for the foreseeable future. Now, this wasn't a given because with the whole thing with COVID where Gobert joked around about it, the relationship apparently between him and Donovan Mitchell was fractured. Garrett, you think that this is a really bad contract, so I'm gonna let you take it away, and then I'm gonna give my rebuttal.
Now I don't know if it's necessarily the worst contract in the league, but I think it's bad for the sense that Rudy Gobert, I believe he's getting paid like the 7th biggest contract right now in the NBA. And to put it simply, like, he's not a top 7 player in the NBA. He's not top 10. He arguably isn't top 20, So when you look at it like that, he is getting overpaid a little bit. I mean, your graphic even said he's going to be like 33 years old by the time he's out of it. And there is quite a history of centers similar to the role that he's had, that by that time in their career, they start to like dwindle down. And if we're already saying like a guy like Rudy Gobert and what he's doing today isn't worth being the 7th most paid player in the NBA, then what is he going to look like when he's 33, probably at the end or just after like his prime years? So I don't know. That's why I'm skeptical about it, and it's just like a weird contract in my opinion.
So I am a very big Rudy Gobert fan, and I think with small ball and kind of positionless basketball dying, the centers are a little bit extinct, but I think there is there is an exception when you have a Jared Allen, a big Jared Allen guy, or a Rudy Gobert, because what it allows you to do is they do such a good job controlling the paint and protecting the rim that you can surround him with shooters. You don't have to worry about having another interior defender. This year, averaging 16 points, 17 rebounds, close to 2 blocks, and a steal a game. Now, those are just the stats. If you actually watch the Jazz game, which I like kind of watching them as an Adam market team, he does a really good job altering shots as well. You'll see a lot of times people, will think about taking it up, and maybe they'll make an errant pass, and another player gets credited with the steal, or the opposing team gets a turnover, and it doesn't result in a direct, stat contributing for him. I will say I do agree about the point about big men not having as long a career, but I'll say with him, he's very unselfish. He took 3 shots the other day against the Bucks. I think he really just wanted the recognition of being an all-star and that he was somebody that was deemed worthy. And I mean, right now, Utah's the best team in the NBA, and I don't think that they could have somebody replace him. I think if they win a championship, then the contract is validated.
And you even say, like, there's some things like how he affects shots at the rim and his screen assists. Like, they're not going to be showing up in normal box scores. So there is that to consider as well. And he's still probably, I'd say he's a top 5 center in the league. But I just don't know if by the time he's 33 years old, like, that's kind of throwing me off, because for him to be worth that or even relatively close to that, because I wouldn't consider a guy who's, in my opinion, he's probably a top 25 player in the league, but you're about 10, 15 spots below that of what you're getting paid. So in that respect, I just don't know if I can quite agree with that. But yeah, that's my point.
We got a couple more here. We're going to our international section now. We're going to go with Kristaps Porzingis. 5-year, $158.25 million contract. He is in the 3rd year of that with 2 years and $70 million after. It's going to end after the 23-24 season when he's 28 years old. Right now, he's only 26. Kind of hard to believe. I'm going to let you go first on this. I'll let you take it away.
I mean, with Kristaps Porzingis over the past few years, I mean, statistically speaking, he hasn't been too bad in the regular season. It's just a matter of, sometimes his tendencies are a little questionable. He likes to play soft, as a lot of Mavericks fans say. He's pulling up from like logo Lillard range, like about 4 or 5 times a game sometimes. But I think that being that you're 7'3", I mean, you're one of the tallest players in the league. He's also one of the strongest players in the league when he actually like puts his mind to it. So I think if he was, playing more of a post-up game, and yes, he could still do the pick and pop game as well, but I think he needs to maybe readjust his tendencies. But of course, last year in the playoffs, he was getting clowned all over social media. They were giving him Paul George's nickname of Pandemic Pete. So, but I don't know. I just think that it's not a terrible contract for the simple fact that he will be, still kind of in his prime by the time it's done. So there will be teams that are probably going to be interested in trade talks up until that point, or teams that might be interested in trying to take him from Dallas by the time it's over. So I don't know. I don't think it's a terrible contract, but until he can prove himself and solidify that, then it's going to be tough to say it's a good one.
So including this year, he's going to have about 3 years, $105 million left. I know he's young. He's transitioned his game. He used to be kind of a back to the basket, have that Dirk Nowitzki fadeaway. Now he's primarily a three-point shooter. 1.3 three-pointers made. He's attempting about 6 or 7 per game. So he's shooting maybe 25% from three. But the worst part is he still has the ego that he's the number one superstar. It's Luka's team. Luka has the highest usage rate in the NBA. Porzingis is the clear number 2 option, and he's not willing to accept that. And I think that's part of where the friction comes in. We saw Rick Carlisle leave, and there was a lot that was on Luka, but I'm sure having Porzingis in the locker room isn't help as well. He's gotten into some altercations. He got in that fight in France. I don't think he does anything particularly well at this point. I think his name has kind of made him what he's been. He's 7'3" with a torn ACL in the past. Like you said, he plays perimeter ball. He doesn't take advantage of his height, of the mismatches he could exploit. I just don't see anyone trading for this contract. And because he has 3 years left, including with this, look at that picture. He's pouting as well. I'll say this. I'll give Porzingis a compliment. He has a nice haircut. There.
That's true.
I justified it, right? He has a nice haircut.
I'd say so, yeah. It's pretty decent.
So these were some of the worst contracts we talked about. Kudos to the agents that get their players this money. Shame on the GMs that have signed these players to these extensions. Talk in the comments section. Who has the worst contract?
So that's going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, go subscribe to the Triple Play Fantasy channel. We might be doing some more collabs in the future. And feel free to like, comment, subscribe on both of our videos for this main topic. And hit the notification bell as well so you can get noties for when we both post videos to come. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Thank you guys for watching. And I'm out. Peace.